we get started with my awesome guest today, I want to thank the new paid subscribers. You guys are the real MVPs. Brother Elijah, Ellie, Elizabeth, Mairead, thank you so much. This is what I do for a job. I write things, I make podcasts, and I sell handmade furniture. That's it. So your support is very, very helpful, and I'm so, so thankful. It makes it all possible. If you listen to past episodes of Inner Immigrant, you'll see we've talked to a lot of people about what makes their life meaningful, what brings them joy, from ayahuasca to paragliding to jujitsu, dancing, rock climbing, contemplative prayer. One of my favorite past episodes that you guys should go back and listen to is Rachel Kurtz talking about singing and massage. But we've never talked about therapy. So on today's episode, we're going to talk about therapy. My guest today, Beth Kelleher, is a therapist and a yoga teacher. Welcome, Beth.
Hi.
Maybe you could tell people what's behind you. Where are you?
Oh, sure. I am in my home office. I often work from a therapy office outside of my house, but I'm lucky enough to have this room to use when I do podcasts. I guess this is my first one, but and when I'm just doing stuff at home. So yeah, I had a
Love
good
your
friend.
office.
A good friend taught me how to do a good gallery wall. So I'm always trying to practice that skill. So
It's such a joyful space. Your clients are so lucky to get to zoom in and talk to you with that much beauty on the screen.
it is fun. It is fun. You got to have dopamine in your environment, you know?
That's
It's a big
right.
part of it.
That's right. So maybe you could introduce yourself and tell people what you do for work, and also
hmm
maybe what's making you happy or bringing you joy these days.
Sure. So for work, I finished a master's degree in marriage and family therapy. That was a few years ago. I'm still working towards licensure. In March, I'll be fully licensed, which just means I can do my own thing instead of being under a practice. But I see couples, families, individuals for therapy. I love it. Partially because I've always been nosy, partially because I think healing relationship is really important. I also teach yoga, which is amazing. I did it through my grad program, which also helps me as a therapist think a lot about the body and not just the mind. For fun, doing yoga, making gallery walls, going for long walks through downtown Indianapolis, always down for a dance party. Oh, and I've been doing bad crafts where you do a craft and it doesn't have to look like anything. So
Oh, I
just
love
trying
bad
to do
craft.
art and see what happens. Yeah.
Yes, no judgment. Like, I know it looks like the fifth grader did this, but this made me happy. I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Basically making a big mess and then throwing everything away potentially.
It doesn't have to go on the gallery wall to be worth doing, guys.
No,
Okay.
it does not.
So I want to tell a story about how we met, because we met, I was actually your high school teacher
hmm
and you were my student when I was a new teacher,
Yeah.
which is so crazy. I used to teach 11th and 12th grade, and you were in a couple of my classes, and you
hmm
were in my drama class. And back then you were this sweet, kind of quiet, very smart girl with like a bow in your hair.
hmm
And it was really
hmm
cool because being a drama teacher meant that I got to put you in roles where you got to be this other person. And I saw this powerhouse woman come out.
I
And
got to
that's who
slap
you've
a
become.
boy. I
Yeah.
slapped a boy on stage.
And I was like, damn, I didn't know that power was in there. And
Yeah.
it's so cool, like watching you now, we're adults and we've stayed friends,
hmm
become that powerhouse woman that was always in there.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I think I really liked that you saw something in me that I didn't see and ended up loving theater and then did some theater through college, and it was a great outlet to if it was like, okay, I can't come out of my comfort zone sometimes as Beth, but I can come out of my comfort zone on the stage, and I think it gave me some sort of practice. So,
Yeah. I
mhm.
loved being a teacher. It's super lucky when your students like you because they don't always like you. Like, sometimes they hate your guts and you're
I
like,
don't
it's
know
going
if
to
you were
be,
that teacher though. You were a cool
oh,
teacher.
there were a few students where I was like, it's going to be a long year. I
Okay.
had one student who told me first day of class, I don't think women should work outside the home. And I was like, I'm your teacher. So yeah. But
Okay.
Yeah, but when like you and a student do click, it's that much more fun for you and them. So I'm so
Yeah,
thankful that we've stayed in touch. And I don't even know why. It's kind of a miracle that we've stayed in touch all these years. But we
I
just love
know.
deep conversations and we love to laugh.
And cigarettes. So it
And
really, yeah, it
yeah,
works out.
yeah, and Theo Vaughn reels, you
Yeah.
know?
And I think it helps that so much of my family's in Colorado, so there was naturally times I got to come visit and see you. I wonder if it would have been the same without some of those in-person visits, but it worked out super well, so I'm grateful.
We like hot
Mhm,
springs. We went to a hot spring once called Joyful
mhm,
Journey, and it was, in
mhm.
fact, a joyful
It was
journey.
a joyful journey, man.
So stay in touch with your teachers that you like, you know, stay
You
in
might
touch with
stay in
your
a
friends.
yurt together. We stayed
We
in a
stayed in a
yurt
yurt.
under the stars, man. It was great.
It was magical.
Yeah.
It was magical. And now you're someone's therapist and in
I
Indianapolis,
know.
you said, at it's called Healing Parts Therapy.
Yes. So I'm under a practice right now, but eventually we'll try to kind of go out on my own. But my specific brand is Healing Parts Therapy, mostly on Instagram. I'm trying to build something on Instagram. I don't know what I'm doing, but I do love being a therapist for sure.
Yeah, and I know
Mhm,
that you're a very skilled therapist because I've actually the roles have reversed. I've actually called you for
mhm,
advice before, and you're incredibly knowledgeable and you're incredibly attuned. I asked you to put on your therapist hat once, and you were super helpful to me. So I wanted to interview on you on Inner Immigrate to ask about therapy as a tool for this moment in particular. But before we get into all of that, could you just tell us? Because I think a lot of people are probably curious, what is being a therapist like? Like, what drew you to that kind of work, and what's it like?
mhm. Oh, it's never boring. I love that about it. It
Yeah.
is it's spicy every day. And like I said earlier, I've always been fascinated by people. I remember being that student at school that like was kind of always studying my teachers. What outfit did they wear? If I saw them at the grocery store, what did they put in their cart? Like I've just been a nosy bitch my whole life.
Same.
And I get to do that every day, but it's that fascination with people, and then it's also so many therapists, the kind of humor is that we're therapists because of our trauma. A lot of us grew up where we had to be that emotional caretaker, and unfortunately, I have that skill really well. And it's redemptive to be a therapist because I get to use it, but in a way that I'm consenting to and in a way that I get reimbursed for,
Yeah.
both in relationship with my clients. That's so life giving. And it's my job. So I'm really grateful for that. And I think in general, I'm just super curious, like sometimes too curious. I have to sometimes shut down the therapist brain. That's the hardest part of being a therapist. It's not that I'm judging people, it's that that curiosity can come out of the therapy room. And like, I have a boyfriend and I met his friends for the first time. We're watching sports, we're drinking beer. And I'm like, what were you like in kindergarten? You know, like, what's your earliest memory? And they're just like, what the fuck, Beth? Like, where did that question come from? How do you even think of that question? And I've had to learn just to like chill and have fun and not go too deep. And that's the hardest work for me. I think being a therapist is okay, I can just like be a person right now and things don't have to be super intense all the time.
Yeah, turning it off and knowing how to have boundaries with your work because you're right, you're probably always aware of stuff that's
Mhm.
going on, and sometimes
Yeah.
you're like, "I'd like to not be aware right now. I would like
Yeah.
to not know that you're dealing with, major issues at this point, and I
Uh-huh.
just wanna watch a reality TV show with you."
Yes. Yes, 100%.
I was thinking it might be kind of like there's a lot of medical people in my family, like being
Sure.
a nurse. I always am sending the nurses in my family some weird photos of like a rash.
Yep.
And I'm like, hey, can you tell me what this is?
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
do wonder if it is difficult when you have the skill to help people understand themselves and help people to
Mm,
understand their relationships. Also, drawing boundaries of like, dude, I'm off the clock right now and I just
sure.
want to have a beer.
Yeah, I think I've gotten better at it because of my friend group. And also, like, I don't wanna be a therapist all the time, you know, it's not like I want to always be analyzing people, it's not exciting, always fun, so I'm also, for myself, turning that off, but I was thinking about this, and the hardest part is me letting myself be shown up for. I think that's the hardest work is, wait a second, it's more comfortable for me to be in the therapist role holding space for others, but really vulnerable to be like, okay, I can trust people will show up for me too. And so it's like, can I show the picture of the rash to someone, right? Can I like say, hey, I need you to support me right now? That's maybe the hardest part is also letting myself be taken care of.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I love that. What do you wish people understood about therapy? Like, what makes for a good therapy relationship? Because I don't want to put therapy on a pedestal. It's like anything. It can be helpful to people, or you could have a therapy relationship that wasn't that helpful to you. So what if people are looking for a therapist or they would like to start learning about themselves or processing their emotions? What should they be looking for? What makes for a good relationship?
Yeah. I'm thinking about clients who have come to me and in our first session are asking me to help them break up with their last therapist, So like, yeah, to your point, going to therapy is first and foremost. Is this person someone I can be in relationship with? Could I tell them my deepest, darkest stuff? Could I laugh with them? Laughter is such a big part of therapy. It doesn't have to be intense all the time. I laugh with my clients. We talk about TV shows. They show me photos of their family, right? Like it can be silly and fun as much as serious. And the foundation of therapy is a healthy, safe relationship. That's the most therapeutic thing. I also know some other skills, but if I'm not feeling like a safe person, what's the point? So I would say to people trying therapy, try 3 or 4 therapists. If something doesn't feel good within a few sessions, if you feel like you're masking, right? You can't totally say what you're thinking, that's a problem. So don't give up if there's someone you meet with and it doesn't feel like a click. It should in some ways feel like the click of a friendship. Obviously, I'm going to have different boundaries in that. I'm going to keep my stuff to the side, but it should feel, I think, in the friendship range a little bit.
Yeah. My favorite therapy movie is Good Will Hunting, maybe my favorite movie, like, of all time.
Yeah,
Have you seen that one?
I have. I have seen it. I hadn't like there's so many movies I haven't seen, but I'm like going through it now and that's one I've seen in the past year.
Okay,
Mhm.
because Will's relationship with his therapist, Sean, is one of the best parts of the movie.
Mhm.
And I also wanna brag on my little self because, Will in Good Will Hunting was my childhood celebrity crush.
Ooh, I can
And
see
I wanna say
that.
that I had really good taste because he was blue collar, he had a
Mhm.
Boston accent, he was a genius,
Kind
he
of
had strong
rebellious.
rebellious, strong
Ye
male friendships, and he was working on himself.
Yeah, that's a great type. That's a great we
Checks a
should
lot of
have had
boxes.
posters of him on
No.
our walls.
That's what should be hanging behind me right now.
Yes.
I mean,
Uh-huh.
but in that movie, he goes through a lot of therapists, and it's funny
Yeah.
where he
Mhm.
doesn't like them and he doesn't wanna do it, he doesn't wanna be there, and he finally ends up with Sean, and partly because Sean is from a similar background to him, there's a couple of things that make it work so that he can feel eventually safe enough to talk about his stuff, and I think that's a really good illustration of what you're talking about.
Yeah, and so much of my job is patience, like I might wanna immediately jump into things. I might wanna be like, "Ooh, let's name all this stuff." And I think that movie shows that, like, hanging out and being patient and consistently just showing up for someone is the therapy, rather than pushing your own agenda. So that's comes back to that relationship piece of, I need to go, at the pace of my clients rather than maybe a pace that I wanna go at, because that's not safe, right? That's not
Right.
safe, and we are in relationships where we don't get to honor our own pace, and so I think working on that is a huge part of therapy.
So, the world, as you know, is very
Mhm,
crazy at the
mhm,
moment. We're on day 38 of a government
mhm,
shutdown.
mhm,
Flights are wonky. People's SNAP is getting canceled.
mhm,
The president is talking about invading Venezuela and some other
mhm,
countries. All of this uncertainty, there's a lot of uncertainty in the news. There's a lot of fear, a lot of like polarization and division in families. People aren't talking to each other over political things. So I'm going to ask you an impossible question that is unanswerable.
Woof. Okay.
Okay. But how can we pretend we're your clients, how can we stay as psychologically healthy as possible
Yeah.
during these really challenging times?
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
big one.
I am certainly no expert, but from what I mean, I also learn from my clients and what they're doing. Um, as the yoga teacher and me, I think it's really rebellious to take care of our nervous systems in this time, even if that's, an hour a week, 5 minutes a week. How do I, for a second, slow down the thinking brain? That is part of yoga. The original purpose is slowing down our thinking brain. So, how do I do that, even for a little bit, so that I can try to find a little bit more rest and digest in my body? Because all of this is constantly sending us into fight or flight, which is really valid. But how rebellious if for a second you can decide to exit that and be here, um, and imagine yourself in a safe place. And our bodies have an amazing ability to do that through really simple things that are accessible. And then also, my only other thought is really staying local with what you're already good at. My friends and I at our yoga studio, because we teach yoga, are doing a yoga for mutual aid class where people come and donate money, and then we pick a mutual aid fund every month or bi-monthly that can go to. I think mutual aid is huge. I know you mentioned that on a past interview. So figuring out, like, what's the skill I already have and where can it go? One of my clients is a lawyer and is figuring out how to help a immigration firm in Indianapolis. What skill do I already have that can become something that in a sustainable way I can offer? So much creative stuff is happening. Is there someone that might be literally unsafe to go to the grocery store? Can I figure out how to get groceries to them if they're worried about ICE? Little things that are just in local relationships would be my answer. Obviously, there's probably many other thoughts out there, but that's where I go.
Yeah, I love that because getting out of your thinking brain and getting into your
Yeah.
body is so important. I mean, movement is medicine.
Yeah.
But I would also say that your second piece of what you're saying is doing good for others. And it might be something as simple as someone you love is having an art show and you don't feel like going, but you go.
Mm-hmm.
Or doing something little. I remember once my college boyfriend broke up with me and I was so depressed and self isolating. And I
Yes.
didn't want to see anyone. I didn't want to leave my house. And my friend came over, and I love a bossy friend. And
Mm-hmm.
she's like, it was Christmas time. And she's like, we're going to go sing carols at the old folks' home. And I
Yeah.
said to her, there is literally nothing I would did not want to go sing carols at an old folks' home. And she was
Yes.
like, put on your jacket, we're going. And so I went and I did feel better afterwards.
Yeah.
You
Human
know,
connection, man. Human connection. I mean, that's another reason I'm a therapist is I think human connection is the thing that can heal us. And so finding a way to do that, even in a small way, is what, you know, can heal ourselves and our community in ways.
yeah, we can do something little and
Mhm.
it's something because I came back and I felt a little
Mhm.
bit better about myself.
Mhm.
It was like I
Mhm.
did one kind thing, you know?
Mhm.
Maybe tomorrow will be a little bit better than today.
Yeah. Yeah, getting out of our house, man, that's just part of it too. Is like, what can I do to get out of my house for 10 minutes today? Because there's such a like impulse to just be in the fetal position at all times. So stepping outside of the house, putting your feet in the grass, doing something to get out of that
Doom
routine.
scrolling. Yeah, put your
Mhm.
phone in a drawer and go for a walk with a friend.
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay, so I want to go into another impossible question.
Okay.
So see, you became a therapist because you like to ask nosy questions, but I think
Yes.
that's a big part of why I'm a journalist too, is I
Yes,
love
I
to ask.
almost wish I had studied journalism. I think both
Yes.
would have been awesome.
What
Mhm.
I think is so amazing is you can say, I'm here on behalf of a magazine, and then you can ask the most personal
Yeah.
question that you
Yeah.
really want to ask. I love it. You don't
Yeah.
have to do small talk. It's only
Yes.
deep talk.
Yeah, small talk is not
Not your
it.
favorite.
No.
No. So I'm going to ask you another impossible question, but this is something I notice a lot on the left. There's so much anger and division in our country, and a lot of, particularly Democrats, I'm sure Republicans sometimes have their own version of this, but it's just this this fury, this anger of why do people deep in MAGA stay? Why don't they speak up when the president who promised to release the Epstein files isn't releasing the Epstein files? There's so much kind of self-righteous anger of how come people who are deep into a belief system and the belief system is betraying them stay in that movement or stay in that group. And I was wondering if you could speak to why that is, why it is so hard to
Mhm.
question our beliefs or to change our group belonging. Because I think there's a lack of understanding about how hard it really is actually
Yeah.
to question a deeply held belief.
Yeah, I think one of the plot lines of my life is wrestling with indoctrination. Indoctrination being offered a set of beliefs without an invitation to question them. Um, and I think relationships keep us alive. If there's anything I've learned being a therapist, especially a couples therapist, the hardest thing to ever do, I think, is to leave a relationship. That's when people get pretty suicidal. Like our bodies literally struggle so deeply with a change, a leaving of relationship, a breakup, and to leave what I think is like the far right, is to leave relationship, both with the group and individuals, maybe even your family. I've wrestled with indoctrination. I've told you this from the beginning. I think I was handed so many beliefs, specifically conservative beliefs, to the point of having a picture of George W. Bush tacked above my bed as a 9-year-old. Like, that is wild. And I look back at it and I'm like, so many things make sense now.
It's
What
like
was happening?
here's a war criminal, night night, sweet dreams. You know
Mhm.
what you so you had George W. Bush watching over you while you slept?
Yes, as a 9, 10-year-old, like I
Yeah,
was young.
yeah.
And they surprised me with a dog for Christmas. And my first instinct was to name our dog George W. And then our neighbors down the street were like, if you do that, we're naming our cat Al Gore. And so I was like, okay, we won't do that. But the indoctrination of having, and part of that being there is an external authority figure that has the answers that I need to follow. And there's right and wrong, there's all or nothing thinking. There isn't a between. Democrats are bad. We're really good. We put bumper stickers on our car and signs in our yard and stand with America. And that was the whole thing. It was such a piece of our family's identity. I went to school. I was proud of that. I went to a sleepover and came home and cried because I slept next to a girl that was a Democrat. Like, it was it was really intense. That's why I've done a lot of therapy. Um,
Ah,
and it was devastating to leave in a way, maybe not so much the politics, but obviously hand in hand, there was a high control religion piece. So much of that flowed right into being part of high control religion, both being raised in a pretty intense Catholic household, right? There's diversity in Catholicism, but this was a pretty, conservative part of it. Then joining a high control religious group, I really doubled down. But it was like I needed indoctrination. I didn't know how to exist without it. I needed an authority figure. I needed to be told what my beliefs are. I needed to be told what to wear, what to laugh at, how to speak, what my life goals were. And that lasted for a long time. And I was thinking about the crossroads of it. And again, it always comes back to relationship. I had a job where I met some people outside of the religious communities I was in. They were lovely. They offered me belonging. And one of them came out to me as queer. And I remember they asked me to go to coffee, and I was still praying at that time. And I kind of knew like they're going to tell me something, I think specifically about their sexuality. And I walked into the coffee shop and was praying to the Holy Spirit to help me navigate this. And when they told me that they were gay, my only impulse was to be loving and open and supportive and grateful that they told me. And I'm like, wait a second, if the Holy Spirit is calling me to be supportive and safe for someone who's gay, what does that mean about the communities I'm in? And I met with one of the leaders of the religious communities and asked, I have these gay friends. Would they ever be able to join if they wanted to, right? I'm sure they wouldn't, but what would it be like for people to join this group that um, have never been in it before? And the answer was like they could totally visit, but they would never be able to be a part of us.
Mm.
And that's when I had to really sit with, why am I involved in things that are not safe for people that I love? And I think, unfortunately, when you're part of a cult like belonging to MAGA, there is no interaction with people who are different from you and no openness to that because it is bad, because there is good and there is bad. And it wasn't until the universe sent me to these friends that I was able to really sit with it in a new way. And from there, everything unwound. And I left those high control religions, even if it took me a while, right? And I became very open minded, or at least continue to work to. And that's caused major strife. My mom continues to be devastated. She cries still frequently more than 5 years later that I no longer go to mass, that I'm no longer part of this religious community. There was a Christmas I was uninvited because I wouldn't be joining the religious services. And so you lose people, I think is maybe the through line. You will lose people if you question the group that you're in. Um, and relationships keep us alive. And without knowing that there's other safe people, it's going to be really hard to leave. And of course, that's not an excuse. I sat with people that I love feel unsafe with this. This isn't okay. That is something people need to sit with. But instead, they push things away. They push people away that might risk their sense of identity and belonging. And so I really work with my clients and myself on, what is the authority in your life? Is it coming from inside of you? Is it coming from curiosity, or is it coming from some sort of authority figure that's telling you that there is a right and a wrong? And how might that cause harm to people, including yourself? But that is a really difficult journey to take. And I think a lot of people, unfortunately, don't take it. And that's where the therapist in me feels like part of my job is to invite some people for the first time to use curiosity and to wonder if they could trust themselves. And that might be the first time they've been invited to evaluate the system that they belong to, which is a baby step.
Yeah,
So I don't
thank
know if
you.
that answers your question, but
It does answer the question in that it's very hard to change your beliefs and to lose people along the way. I guess I would give the example, like, if you're the carnivore diet guy and your whole brand, maybe you've even had success as the carnivore diet guy, and your whole identity is saying that the best way to live and is to eat only meat. And then you get new information that says maybe you should eat a well-balanced diet. It's going to be really hard for you to give up your entire career, your entire personality, all your other friends who are carnivore diet guys. It's actually really challenging, and I think a lot of times we think if we went back in history that I would have been the suffragette, I would have been the person who was, fighting against slavery, and it's very hard to sit with the fact that maybe I wouldn't have been. Maybe I would have been really worried about, getting dinner on the table, because it's very hard to go against your culture, to go against what you've been taught is right and wrong, and I think one of the hardest things is just to say that I was wrong. And we all need to get more comfortable to just say,
yes.
sometimes I'm wrong, you know?
Mhm.
Everybody is sometimes. Hate
And
to
even
break it
thinking
to you.
about the example of the carnivore guy, it stands out to think if one thing is your personality, that's an issue.
Mhm.
If one thing dominates your whole life, that's a problem. So start to wonder, is there diversity in why it influences my life, or is it just the carnivore diet? And that's probably going to be an issue because there's even more to lose if at some point that's not for you. How can you say it's wrong if it's the risk is losing everything.
That's right. We shouldn't just be so narrowed, and we should be allowed to have seasons. And a good therapist relationship allows you to be playful in imagining what this season of your
Mhm.
life could look like. And it doesn't have to look exactly the same. And so you could be, let's say, a Republican who hates Trump. There's
Mhm.
a
Yes.
whole range
Mhm.
of identities
Yes.
along the spectrum, politically, spiritually, intellectually. There's a lot of room to play when you're not so afraid of losing all of your friends, all of your sense of meaning and purpose.
Yeah.
It can feel like dying. It's a very
Oh,
lonely thing to
I
change your beliefs.
still I obviously go to therapy still, well, probably forever in different frequencies, but I've had many sessions where I have sobbed and cried because I miss parts of that belonging, parts of those religious experiences. Sometimes I wish, and I guess I could like bop into a mass because there was something that was so grounding to me in that. Some of the people in the religious group I was in carried me through my dad's Alzheimer's diagnosis. Like when he didn't have another place to be, he could sleep at their house. That is a very difficult thing to think about walking away from. And it's such an example that like the both and thinking matters, but inside of the indoctrination, it's all or nothing. You're holy, you're not holy, you're with us, you're not with us. Um, and recognizing all of that was so both and. They saved me over and over. And it's dangerous in ways to be a part of that group mentality and to sit with the values that were at the core of that religious group. Um, so devastating. I can agree. It continues to be heartbreak in certain ways.
Yeah, and I think when we get older, one of the gifts of getting older is that you can hold in one hand all of the beautiful things that that period in your life taught you, and all of the friendships and the goodness that you experienced in that community, and
Mhm.
also how grateful you are to be in this next chapter of your life
Yes.
and to be
Yes.
free and to be able to
Yeah.
make up your own mind, wear what you want to wear.
What a thought. What a thought. You could have a personality? Wait, what?
You're allowed to be complicated, it's allowed to be messy.
Yeah.
And I wanna speak even to my own self, my own fragile ego. Like, you were in Indianapolis, I was in Colorado, I was watching online, we watch our friends' lives unfold online
Sure.
now. And it could even be hard for me when a friend that you love and maybe you had something in common is changing their views. Because I think we all have these fragile egos where, if your friend gets divorced, am I going to get a divorce? If your friend doesn't believe in God anymore, is it okay if you still believe in God? And I think really that's why people need to go to therapy and need to have places where they can really find self love and be secure in their own journey
Yes.
so that they're not threatened by other people who are trying to be the highest and best version of themselves. And
Mhm.
it doesn't have to look exactly the same as
Mhm.
my journey.
Yeah,
And
thinking like, is that expert or authority within me, or is it always external? And the answer is probably, in my mind, it needs to be internal. Maybe there's also external factors, but if there's not this internal piece, that's going to be pretty tough to figure out who you are.
yeah, and I think the relationship thing that you keep talking about is so important because the message from our culture is to not talk to anyone who thinks differently from you. And there might be times when that's necessary because that person is so toxic or
Sure.
unsafe. But there might also be times where it's really important to have friendship across difference
Mhm.
so that we can have opportunities to grow and learn. And I don't know how we grow and learn without meeting different types of people who challenge our thinking. And so I'm so thankful in my life for some of those people. I have this friend, Kate Cole. I did a podcast with her um, about meeting strangers on the internet to go rock climbing.
Oh,
And Kate
yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Kate Kate is like bizarro me. She's an atheist and she's in the military and like super wild and I'm like a mom. We're very different. But I'll like joke with her. I'll be like the universe, God like brought your friendship into my life and as a hardcore materialist, Kate will be like, "No, Anna, it was Facebook." And I just laugh, it's hilarious. I'm like
Yes.
You say Facebook, I say the universe,
Yeah.
man,
Yeah.
but we don't have to be the same in order to learn from each other, and
Yeah.
in fact, I've learned a lot from that friendship, so I'm
Mhm.
thankful, that she puts up with my woo-woo,
Sure.
and I put up with her telling me that everything cool is the result of science.
I love it. Both and, baby. That's what it all is.
I'm like woo-woo and science, okay?
Yes. Yeah,
Um,
I mean, some of my friendships, like, we went through some major ups and downs and came out on the other side, but at different points, we're evaluating our faith, evaluating, our values, and some of them we, separated, and some of them were on the other side, and it's amazing to have that type of journey where we're not friends because we always thought the same. We had to figure out how to be friends while thinking different, and that was also a huge journey that was heartbreaking, but I think also a huge part of healing and coming out of that all or nothing.
Yeah, because whenever you use the word indoctrination, whenever someone, because I was a teacher, becomes a teacher, left or right.
Mhm.
I heard this woman on the left one time say, "I want to indoctrinate my students," and I was like, "You're in the wrong profession, baby."
You need
Because
to go start a cult if that's
yeah,
what you're trying to do. Just be honest, man.
right, exactly. Start a cult. Go Scientology,
Yeah.
because that's not your job. Your job is to love them, it's to teach them how to think, and it's to
Mhm.
teach them how to become the best version of themselves. And
Mhm.
that is the same with parenting. That's the same with therapy. At the end of the day, they've got to decide.
Mhm.
And if you have that high control, you're not going to be as good as a teacher because they're going to know that they have to write the paper that you would agree with. And
Mhm.
there could be a really good paper that I personally don't agree with, but it was well
Sure.
written and they did their research. And that's that ego part that we all have that we have to wrestle with of sometimes you're not in control. You're only in control of yourself at the end of the day.
Mhm. Yeah.
So what's going on in the world is intense. It's happening, going to control. I think one of the hard parts about the moment that we're living through is when we have expectation for how our life is going to look,
Sure.
and then it looks different. Like,
Yeah.
when I thought about this year before the election, I was like, "I'm gonna be talking about rock climbing. I'm gonna be writing all these adventure pieces."
Yes.
This was not, like, on my bingo card to be
Yeah.
talking about rising authoritarianism.
Yeah.
So, how do you help your clients when they have an expectation for what their life's gonna look like? They thought, "I'm gonna be married and have 3 kids by this age."
Mm.
And then that age comes and they're not married, there's no kids, or there's a
Mhm.
difference than what they expected. How can we deal with that when our expectations aren't aligning with our current present moment?
Sure. I like to use, there's a specific theory called narrative therapy where we think a lot about stories and definitions. So, where did the story come from that that's what your life should have looked like? Where did the story come from that, for instance, for me in the religious groups I was in, my only role was to kind of win the attention of a man and have a bunch of kids, which is a beautiful life, but I was told that's the life I should want. So, I first asked my clients, do you think this came from you, or could we think about the systems you were in that might have given you this definition of what your life should have looked like? And so we start by deconstructing, like, where did we even get that idea of how things were supposed to be? And ironically for me, I am partnered, we're not married, and we don't plan to have kids. And I'm super happy with this life. We'll probably get married one day, but it's not the same milestone that it used to be for me. And again, it's something I've mourned. I've mourned being a mom of 10 kids. I think that was a life that at some point would have been awesome. And then awesome, chaotic, all the things, right? A whole sprinter van full of children. Um, but that's not where I'm at, and there's a lot of peace in accepting it, but grief, I mean, sitting with grief is probably the first part of that work is, man, when things aren't the way you thought they would be, there's probably some mourning to do. Wondering, like, where that idea came from, and then thinking about, uh, what you might want for the future, but maybe not even having a super tight definition, noticing in the present moment what feels good, what's the next right thing, what's good enough to do in this moment, and let that bolster you. But I don't know that I have any answers there other than just to be with that experience, that confusion.
Yeah, we have to grieve and make space to feel the feelings of, I'm really sad about this thing that's
Mhm.
going on in the world or in my personal life,
Mhm.
but also to know that we're resilient. My therapist always
Mhm.
would tell me, "You've gotten through 100% of your bad days so far."
That's
I really
true.
liked that. That's true.
Yeah.
And as you have more bad days, ironically, there's a superpower in
Yeah.
that as you
Yeah.
get older because you really have been through a lot of bad days
Mhm.
and you
Mhm.
really have found ways to pivot and adapt and continue.
Mhm. It's totally a superpower for sure. And goes back to that idea of just because things like aren't what I thought they would be, that might actually just be an invitation to keep getting to know yourself, which can open other doors. Kind of back to what we were talking about with the last question.
Yeah, you're so awesome, Beth. Your clients are so lucky.
I don't know. I'm just saying words. We'll see.
I think it's awesome. I think therapy is like one of the tools of many. I mean, you've talked also about, caring for others, getting involved in your local community, moving your body. There's so many things, but I do think a lot of people going back to like Will Hunting would benefit from having a great therapist that they could call either in crisis or on a regular basis to kind of process the things in their life that feel out of control because I don't care who you are, um, your boiler goes out. Your kid gets really sick. I mean, everybody has things in their life that are stressful, that are difficult to control. And it's really lucky to have a safe place where you can go and just kind of say, I'm in it right now. Friendships are good like that too, but it can be hard sometimes. I only have a few friends, mostly my climbing friends, where I can call and be like, I'm just really having a breakdown.
Yeah. Yes.
And know that
And
it's
not have to
okay.
worry about I think the one of the magic parts of therapy is they never have to worry about me. They never have to worry about
Mhm.
my feelings. They never have to worry about my needs. That's a healing place to be. So many of us should have had that with our parents. A lot of people were lucky enough to have that, but we think about attachment theory, young kids from a very early age, we know whether our needs are going to be consistently met, and that's emotional and physical. And if those needs are going to be met freely or if they're going to be met conditionally. And so having a therapist where there's just unconditional support and you don't have to think about me is so healing for those parts of us that like had to become something or had to navigate conditional love or be someone so that maybe we had acceptance. And having that safe consistency is a huge way of healing what we might have not gotten growing up from a safe attachment figure.
Yeah, and it's not
Mhm.
over for you. You can continue to reparent yourself
Yes.
and to grow and change. You're not stuck.
Hmm.
If there's something in your life that feels out of control, there's tools and that's just such a hopeful message I think for people.
Hmm.
I don't know, I always talk about movies, but did you see the new Bruce Springsteen movie Deliver
I
Me from Nowhere?
haven't, but I like it's the guy from The Bear, right?
So good.
I really like he's a great actor.
I know, and so cute, but I but I'm like extremely straight, can you tell? But
Yeah, we like the
um
guy from Good Will Hunting and we like the guy from Bruce Springsteen. I love
Yeah,
our list so
Jeffrey, my
far.
husband says my type is toxic masculinity. I'm like, thank you. I think that's okay. Yeah.
Oh
I'm
my
like,
gosh.
do you have an anger issue? I love you. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah,
No, it's a
yeah.
great movie
They're
and be prepared.
interesting. They don't it's not boring. There's
It's
some feistiness there. Yeah. Sometimes healthy relationship feels boring. I have to like let myself know boring's okay.
yeah, yeah. I don't know. He's slightly troubled. That's my type. But no,
Yeah.
the movie is so good and you'll cry your eyes out. It's like devastating. I wasn't prepared for how sad it was.
Mm,
But it's about Bruce Springsteen writing the album Nebraska, why he's going through this intense depression and
mhm,
processing his childhood. And it just made me think of what you were saying because his parents, it wasn't even really their fault, but they were just totally
mhm.
unable to love him and be
Yeah.
present to him. His dad was dealing with his own severe mental illness and
Mhm,
alcohol addiction.
mhm,
And so he's got a lot of trauma and he's trying to work it out through his art. And he creates this incredible and also very weird album. But at the end of the movie, he goes to therapy for the first time. So everybody,
Oh.
yes, everybody should watch it because it's the both and. I think a lot of times creative people feel like if I go to therapy, like there goes my art. Like
Right.
I need this crazy.
Yep.
This crazy is working for me.
Hmm.
But it's kind of the both and of he can have this really dark personality that makes him a great artist. And he
Right.
can also find some healing so that he can keep living, honestly, because it was getting to that
Yeah.
point where it was hard for him to just live his life.
It makes me
And
think of, oh, sorry.
go ahead.
It makes me think of a client who has navigated a lot of traumatizing relationships, written a lot of dark music, and is with a new partner after we've done quite a bit of work in therapy, and is like, I think this is happiness for the first time, and I'm going to figure out how to make music that's about happiness. And it just became a new challenge for him to think about it through that lens. So, I mean, as you evolve, your art can evolve, is maybe the hope there.
Yeah, and thank God he kept living because he made so many more albums, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
It can be
Yeah.
life-saving
Yeah.
what you do for some
Yeah.
people. And I wanna say too, I don't know, because you brought up you were in a very intense group within Catholicism, like a religious group, High Control.
Hmm.
I don't know if you got this message, but I got this message growing up Catholic that if you were a really, really good person, you were sad. Like,
Yeah,
we
like the more you're suffering, the better you are.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. Like, we do
Oh, yeah.
sadness, like, so well
Yeah.
culturally. Like, it's like our best thing. Like, if you wanna be really sad, like,
Yeah.
go to mass on Good Friday. Like
Uh-huh.
like, we crush at
We know how to
sadness.
wallow. We
We
know how to
know
wallow.
we have so much good I don't know, it's actually great. Like, if you just wanna pop in, you don't even wanna be Catholic, and you just wanna,
Mhm.
like, go someplace and cry,
Yep.
but it didn't give me a lot of models for being a good person and being joyful and happy. And
Mhm.
so sometimes when I felt joyful or happy, I felt bad about that, and I had
Yeah.
to kind of, like, unlearn that.
Yeah.
And so it can go a little too hard,
Yeah.
on the sadness.
Mhm. Yeah, in this religious group I was in, it was 100% like suffering is great, martyrdom is great. People would like do this thing where they'd pray through their states in life. So like you pray about whether you're supposed to be open to marriage or not. And there was something that was almost higher status for people that prayed through their life and were going to be single for the Lord, which is what we called it, because it wasn't easy, because it was like a lot of suffering, potential loneliness, but that was put on a pedestal. And people almost felt guilty to be like, yeah, I'm open to marriage, I'm getting married. It's almost seen as the easier route, which is funny because relationships are complicated
Yeah,
and very
it's like,
hard.
no, no, disagree.
But again, there was all or nothing. Marriage is fun and easy. You took the easier route. Being single for the Lord is tricky, but we really respect it. And there was definitely an association of the harder your life is, the more you are close to God, and difficult to have permission for being joyful. For
Mhm.
sure. Which, yeah, was just also like false advertising. Marriage is hard. Like, okay, there's going to be tough stuff on both sides.
Like,
Maybe it's nice in
newsflash.
some ways to be single. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I mean, definitely, like, after you have, like, a couple of kids and some tough times, you think, like, actually, no, like, living alone would be would be really, like, nice. I'd have a little she shed, I'd have all my
Yeah.
books, like, no one's interrupting me. Like, yeah, so
Yeah.
where do we get these ideas, and are they really serving us? Because, if I the other thing too is that unconsciously, right? Like, if I'm really, a martyr and I'm doing all these things, but I'm making everyone around me miserable, like, is that really the most loving thing? So, I think a good therapist also doesn't just sit and listen, like, a good therapist also pushes you.
Hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
is that choice that you're making that you think makes you holier or better or higher status in whatever community, making everyone around you miserable? Like, is that actually the right thing? And so a good
Right.
therapist can also challenge you on your stuff where you're like,
Yes.
maybe I'm the drama.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm the
Yeah, like
problem.
sometimes the work is asking the client or my therapist asking me, like, how are you actually creating this problem? Right?
Yeah.
Like, you don't get to come to therapy and just complain about everyone else. I think
Yeah.
some people see it that way. And you can complain about people, but I'm also going to be like, yeah, what's in your control here, babe? Like, let's think about, okay, there's a huge lack of boundaries here. that can really tie in, especially for women, the idea of being selfish. And then we get to open up a whole nother subject, right? Of what does the word selfish even mean, and why in a lot of religious circles is it seen as negative or sinful, when if we think about sustainable community and sustainable relationships, we have to be okay in our own bodies. And burnout actually doesn't meet the goal of that pleaser in you to like take care of people. So it's a total framework shift. But sometimes I even try to work with the part of them that's like, but it's my like job to take care of people. Like, okay, let's just figure out a more efficient way. We could even still look at it through that framework, you know?
Yeah. Yes, it's really hard when you're like, "Oh," like, a good therapist will push you and be like, you can do this. You can do this. You can rethink this, and you don't
Yeah.
have to just keep doing the same
Mhm.
shit that doesn't serve you." And it's okay, to also admit then there's all this freedom on the other side. I think back on I got married really young, like
Mhm.
23. I've been married a long time. I think back to our early arguments, and I think, "Man, all of those would have ended if I would have just said, 'Hey, I was wrong.'" Like, "Sorry about that." Like, not my best work there.
Right.
Like, it would have just been over. I would have been like, "I was tired and hungry and kind of a jerk." And now I
Yeah.
can say that because I'm
Mm.
okay. I feel safe enough to be like, "You're not gonna leave me. Like, you already know
Yes.
I was kind of a jerk." And, like,
Yeah.
sometimes I'm the drama, you know?
Yep.
Sometimes I'm the problem.
a hundred
And, like,
percent.
growth
Yeah.
is knowing that, even with my kids, just how much easier it is now to be like, "Hey, can we
Yeah.
do a redo?" Like, "That wasn't
Right.
my
That
best this
okay,
morning."
that makes me excited because one of the best parts of therapy and relationships is there is going to be conflict. Relationships are going to hurt you. I don't think we can spend our lives trying to avoid that. The question is, after there's pain, can there be repair? The mantra with so many of my couples is rupture and repair. Like,
Yes.
we're going to have rupture. That means you're actually doing relationship well because you're being honest, right? Like, you're not bottling, you're not pretending. But repair is the way to do it. And so if there can be repair, everything is possible. And that's actually health versus we never fight, right? That's maybe the concerning thing. It
If
means
you
you're
never
maybe checked
fight,
out.
yeah, you either checked out or somebody
Yeah.
already lost,
Yeah.
or somebody already lost.
Yes.
And they're just
Yes.
beat down. I don't
Yeah.
believe it when people even with your kids, you're gonna have conflict, you're gonna
Right.
have days and where they're just like, "Gosh, he's being a jerk," or "I'm being a jerk."
Right.
Like, that's human life, and if you want a village, if you want community, like, that's the bad part of it, is people are gonna get on your
Mhm.
nerves. You're gonna get
Mhm.
on your own nerves.
Mhm. Oh my god, I hate
But
hearing myself
repair it.
talk at the end of the day. I'm like, "Man, I talked a lot today." Like, I'm so
Sick of
sick of
myself.
myself.
I'm sick of myself.
Yeah.
No, it's okay, and the repair is possible, and then it can become habit to just say, "Hey, that wasn't the best. I'm sorry." We hug, we talk, and we move on because you don't have to be perfect. And I think with you talk about religion as high control, but for a lot of people, political identity, Democrat or Republican, has almost become their religion.
Yes,
It's
exactly. It's both. Yeah.
almost become that. And
Mhm.
it's very difficult for them to question and say, "I'm still a good person if I changed my mind about this or I was wrong about that." And in fact, actually, to be a good person is to change your mind when you get new information, is to
Mhm.
admit when
Yeah.
you're wrong.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't have to be this super scary thing of like,
Mhm.
of everything will fall apart if I admit that I was kind of rude to you this morning at breakfast.
And
Like,
if it does fall apart, those aren't your people.
yeah,
If it does fall
gross.
apart, that relationship was fragile. We don't wanna do fragile shit. We wanna have relationships where we can stomp around and be like, "Okay, I stomped around. I'm sorry. Can we keep it moving?" You know? And
That's
that's a
right.
mantra to myself as I've left a lot of codependent stuff, which goes along with indoctrination to be like, if this is fragile, it's not the relationship for me. And there's going to be other places where things can be stronger and more stable and secure.
That's what I love about my friendship with you. I feel like I can let my belly out with you and just be my
Yeah.
whole like messy self. And I can be
Yeah.
like, I can be allowed to love Theo Vaughn. I can go high low.
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah. Both and. Both and. Yeah.
So you get to be complicated. And I think
Yeah.
the same with parenting. Your kids, when they act out in front of you, it's probably also because they feel safe around you.
Yeah,
And
it's a
so,
it's exhausting to be a healthy parent is what I like. I mean, I'm not even one, right? But like it's exhausting. That's probably why a lot of people didn't do it. Because it's so hard to regulate yourself and not ask your kids to regulate you and accept them. Like, I mean, you know better than I do, but that's a tough journey to take, but it's so important for people to be healthy in our world.
yeah. And I think, the kid's job is not to make you feel good about yourself all the time. So having
Right.
other places where you can feel good about yourself, like
Yeah.
I went to the art show, I'm doing,
Mhm.
donating to the food bank because your kid
Mhm.
is not there to always make you feel good about yourself.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think that is really important because it's your job to be the adult. So I like to go into the bathroom and lock the door and put myself in timeout
Yeah. Yeah. Uh,
because I'm not able to be an adult right now. And
or
they're
to
like
tell your
knocking on the
kid
door.
"Hey, I was a jerk," right? I
Yeah.
think, when I work with parents and families, again, like, the number one thing that will make you a good parent is rupture repair. "Hey, I own some shit. That was really messed up what I said to you, and I'm so sorry." That is the recipe for healthy parenthood from where I sit as a family therapist, and again, that's a both and of, I can really love you and be a good parent, and I can make mistakes. That's the best thing you can model to your kid.
Yeah. So you
Mhm.
guys, good luck out there with all of your relationships. Follow Beth Kelleher on Healing Parts Therapy. If it's hard,
We're trying out here.
like if it's hard, that's normal. That's what I would like people to know.
Yes.
It's normal.
But
It's hard to be a human.
don't do it for the sake of it being hard, right?
Right.
Do it, follow your heart, and it's probably gonna be hard.
Yeah. But even if you're walking in the path that's absolutely what you feel called to do, it can still
Yes.
be at
100%.
times.
Oh,
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
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 So go to the bathroom, take some deep breaths, tap on your chest if
Have a
it's gonna be
cigarette,
okay.
whatever you need to do.
I can go out there and be a nice mom. I just need a second, um,
Yeah,
because,
100%.
being a human is tricky, and we're gonna need support along the way, and maybe therapy might be something that you wanna consider, and shopping around and finding someone who feels like a
Yeah,
good fit
please
to you.
try more than one. Please try more than one, and don't worry about hurting your therapist's feelings.
Yeah.
That's my, slogan is try a few and don't worry about hurting their feelings if they're not the right fit.
That's right. Thank you so much for your time, Beth.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Thanks for
Appreciate you.
having me.
Thank you.
Bye.